Jamal Carter stands trembling in Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, phone clutched tight, sweat beading on his forehead. Minutes ago, security dragged him off Horizon Skies Flight 724, backpack ripped open, belongings scattered across the floor. Passengers stared, whispering he's a threat. Now, alone in a sterile holding room, he dials his father, Nathan Carter, Horizon Skies' reclusive owner. "They humiliated me, Dad," he chokes out. Nathan's voice cuts like ice. "Stay put." The call ends. Jamal senses this spark will ignite a firestorm. What's coming next? Before we dive into this story, let us know where you're watching from in the comments. If you stand for justice, hit like and subscribe to catch every twist of Jamal's fight. Jamal Carter strode through Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, his sneakers squeaking on the polished floor, a faint grin tugging at his lips. At 18, he was headed to Dallas for a summer internship, a chance to prove he was more than just Nathan Carter's son. His backpack bounced lightly, stuffed with a laptop, a worn copy of Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me, and a single change of clothes. He'd packed lean, like always, figuring he'd buy what he needed in Texas. The internship at a tech startup wasn't glamorous, but it was his ticket to standing on his own, away from the shadow of Horizon Skies, the airline his father had, built from a single plane into a national giant. Jamal wanted his own story, not one written in boardrooms or penthouses. Gate D15 loomed ahead, a hive of travelers buzzing under fluorescent lights. He checked his phone. 2 hours until boarding. Perfect. His dad's voice echoed in his head. Punctuality is power. A mantra Jamal followed even if he rolled his eyes at it sometimes. He joined the check-in line, scanning the crowd. A mom wrestled with a stroller, her toddler giggling. An old man in a Braves cap flipped through a newspaper. 3 guys in suits jabbered about stock prices, their voices sharp and smug. Jamal felt a flicker of pride. He was here, blending in. Just another college kid chasing a dream. No one knew his dad owned the planes they'd board. That was how he liked it. At the counter, he slid his ID and boarding pass to the agent, a woman with a tight smile and a name tag reading Carla Vance. Mid-40s, her auburn hair was pulled back so severely it looked like it hurt. She glanced at his documents, then up at him, her eyes narrowing slightly. "ID," she said, voice clipped, though he'd already given it. Jamal's stomach tightened, but he kept his face neutral, handing over his driver's license again. Around him, others breezed through. No second checks, no stares. Carla studied his ID like it was a puzzle, her lips pursing. "All right," she finally said, shoving it back. Next, Jamal grabbed his stuff and headed to the gate's waiting area, brushing off the moment. He'd felt that look before. Store clerks trailing him, cops slowing as they passed his car. It stung, but he wasn't here to fight battles over a glance. He dropped into a molded plastic chair, pulling out his book. Coates' words gripped him, slicing through the airport's hum with truths about being black in a world that often saw you as a problem. He lost himself in the pages, barely noticing the gate filling up. A crackle overhead snapped him back. "Attention, passengers on Horizon Skies Flight 724 to Dallas. Will begin boarding Platinum Elite members and those needing assistance." Jamal checked his ticket, Group 3. He'd be on soon. He tucked his book away, texting his roommate Devin about grabbing tacos when he landed. "Dallas gonna be lit," he typed, grinning. "Group 3 now boarding," the gate agent called, her voice flat. Jamal stood, slinging his backpack over one shoulder, and joined the line. He handed his boarding pass to Carla, who'd moved to the gate scanner. She took it, her eyes flicking over him again, lingering on his hoodie, his braids. "ID," she demanded louder this time. Heads turned. Jamal's pulse quickened, but he pulled out his license, keeping his voice steady. "Here you go." She snatched it, squinting between the photo and his face, like she was hunting for a lie. The scanner beeped green, but she didn't move, holding his documents hostage. "Everything okay?" he asked, forcing calm. Her jaw tightened. "Step aside for a moment, sir." The sir dripped with something sour, not respect. Jamal's chest burned, but he obeyed, moving to the side as others shuffled past, their glances grazing him, curious, uneasy, judging. Carla waved over a co-worker, muttering something Jamal couldn't catch. The second agent, a wiry guy with a buzz cut, nodded and typed furiously on a terminal. Jamal stood there exposed, feeling the weight of every stare. He'd done nothing wrong. Ticket bought, ID valid, bag light. Yet here he was, singled out, a spectacle. Minutes dragged. Finally, Carla handed back his pass. "Proceed," she said, like she was doing him a favor. He nodded, jaw tight, and walked down the jetway, the cold metal echoing his steps. At the plane's door, another flight attendant greeted him, her smile thin, eyes scanning him like he might bolt. "Welcome aboard," she said, stepping aside just enough for him to pass. Her name tag read Heather, but Jamal barely registered it, his mind stuck on Carla's glare. He found seat 9C, a window spot, and slid in, stowing his backpack under the seat ahead. The plane smelled of stale coffee and recycled air. A middle-aged white guy already sat in the aisle seat, his bulk spilling over the armrest, scrolling, through a golf app on his phone. The middle seat stayed empty, a small win on a packed flight. "Excuse me," Jamal said, settling in. The guy grunted, not looking up. Jamal buckled his seatbelt, gazing out at the tarmac. Ground crew hustled, tossing bags into the plane's belly, their orange vests glowing under wing lights. He'd seen this dance 100 times growing up, his dad's empire at work. As a kid, he'd loved airport visits, playing with model jets in Nathan's office. Now it felt distant, like someone else's life. He was here as Jamal, not a Carter heir, and that felt right. The cabin filled, voices blending into a low roar. Jamal popped in earbuds, letting Kendrick Lamar's beats drown the chatter. He was halfway through a song when a shadow fell over him. Carla stood in the aisle, her face hard, holding a radio. "Mr. Carter," she said, loud enough for nearby rows to hear. "I need your boarding pass again." Jamal froze, earbuds dangling. "I showed it at the gate," he said, keeping his tone even. Her eyes narrowed. "Now, please." Head swiveled, passengers craning, whispering. The golf guy glanced up, frowning. Jamal dug out his phone, pulling up the digital pass, his fingers steady despite the heat creeping up his neck. "Here." She snatched the phone, studying it like it might explode, then handed it back. "And your ID." His heart pounded now, but he complied, sliding his license from his wallet. "What's this about?" he asked, voice low. Carla ignored him, radioing someone. "Captain, we've got a situation in row 9. The word situation hit like a slap. Jamal's mind raced. Had she misread his ticket? Was there a glitch? But deep down, he knew. He'd seen that look in her eyes at the gate, the one that didn't need a reason, just a target. The golf guy shifted, muttering something about delays. A woman across the aisle clutched her purse tighter. Jamal felt their stares, 100 tiny needles pricking his skin. He wanted to shout, "I'm just trying to fly," but he bit it back. Showing anger wouldn't help. It never did. Minutes later, heavy footsteps thudded down the aisle. Captain Leonard Hayes appeared, a tall man in his 50s, his pilot's cap tilted just so, silver hair peeking out. His face was all angles, sharp and unyielding, with eyes that sized Jamal up in a heartbeat. "Son," he said, voice low but firm, "we've got a problem with your boarding verification." Jamal's stomach dropped. "What problem?" "I showed everything." Hayes leaned closer, his cologne sharp. "Let's not make this harder than it needs to be. Gather your things." The cabin went quiet, every ear locked on them. Jamal's hands shook as he grabbed his backpack, but he kept his chin up. "I have a right to know what's going on," he said, louder now. Hayes' jaw twitched. "You're coming with us, or security handles it." Before Jamal could respond, 2 security guards pushed through, their boots squeaking, radios crackling. One, a beefy guy with a buzz cut, gripped Jamal's arm. "Let's go, kid." Jamal yanked free, heart hammering. "Don't touch me, I'm complying." The second guard, wiry and sneering, snapped cuffs on him, the metal biting his wrists. Gasps rippled through the plane. A kid a few rows back whispered, "What did he do?" Jamal wanted to scream nothing, but his throat locked tight. The guards hauled him up the aisle, his backpack dangling from one strap, papers spilling. Carla followed, her face blank, like this was just another Tuesday. Passengers stared, some shocked, some nodding, like they'd known he was trouble all along. The jetway was a blur, cold air hitting Jamal's face as they marched him back to the terminal. His cheeks burned, shame and rage twisting in his gut. He hadn't fought, hadn't raised his voice, yet here he was, cuffed like a criminal. In a small holding room, the guards uncuffed him, shoving him onto a plastic chair. "Stay put," Buzzcut barked, slamming the door. Jamal's breath hitched, his hands rubbing his wrists, red marks blooming. The room was bare, gray walls, a flickering bulb, a one-way mirror he knew someone was watching through. His phone buzzed in his pocket, somehow missed in the chaos. He pulled it out, hands trembling, and saw Devon's text. "Yo, you boarding?" The normalcy of it stung worse than the cuffs. Then he heard voices outside, Carla's, low and smug. "Told you, had to keep trouble off my plane," she said, laughing softly. A man, probably a guard, chuckled back. "Good call." Kid looked shifty. Jamal's blood boiled, his fingers curling into fists. Shifty. One word, and it carried a lifetime of slights. Every sideways glance, every locked car door as he walked by. He wasn't a person to them, just a profile, a box to check. His internship, his grades, his dreams, none of it mattered in that moment. They'd seen his skin and decided his story. He opened his phone's contacts, scrolling to Dad. Nathan's name glowed, a lifeline in the dark. Jamal hit call, his voice cracking as it connected. "Dad, they humiliated me," he said, the words spilling out. Nathan's reply was sharp, controlled, like a blade being honed. "Stay put." The call ended, leaving Jamal alone with his racing thoughts. He leaned against the wall, the cold seeping through his hoodie. Carla's laugh echoed in his mind, a taunt he couldn't shake. He didn't know what Nathan would do. His dad was a titan, but this felt bigger, like the whole system had turned on him. Worse, he overheard a guard outside typing on a radio. "Kid's flagged now. No flying for him, not on Horizon or anyone else." Flagged. The word landed like a punch. Had Carla's report spread already, locking him out of every airport? His internship, his future. Everything hung in the balance and he was trapped, a pawn in a game he didn't start. All he could do was wait, heart pounding, for whatever came next. Nathan Carter sat alone in his Dallas penthouse, the city sprawling beneath him like a glittering chessboard. At 55, he was a man carved from resolve, his broad shoulders still hinting at the mechanic he'd been before building Horizon. Skies into a powerhouse. The penthouse was his sanctuary. Floor-to-ceiling glass, sleek leather furniture, a single photo of his late wife Aisha, smiling beside a young Jamal. Tonight, the air felt heavy, the silence brittle. His phone vibrated. On the oak desk, Jamal's name flashing. Nathan answered, voice steady. But when his son's words came, cracked, raw, spilling shame and rage, something inside him snapped. "They humiliated me, Dad," Jamal said, recounting the cuffs, Carla's sneer, the passenger's stares. Nathan's grip tightened, knuckles whitening against the phone's edge. His mind churned, replaying decades of battles, racist loan officers, sneering rivals, boardrooms that whispered he didn't belong. He'd built Horizon to defy that world, to give his son a shield. Yet here was Jamal, cuffed like a criminal, on Nathan's own plane. "Tell me everything," Nathan said, his voice low, a storm brewing beneath it. Jamal's story poured out. The gate check, Carla's cold eyes, Captain Hayes's barked orders, the guard's rough hands. Nathan listened, each word a knife. When Jamal mentioned Carla's laugh, "Keeping trouble off my plane," Nathan's jaw clenched so hard it ached. His son, 18, a straight-A Emory freshman, reduced to a stereotype. He saw Aisha's face in his mind, her fierce love for Jamal, her dreams of a world that wouldn't break him. Nathan had promised her he'd protect their boy. Now that promise felt like ash. "Where are you?" he asked, already standing, pacing the polished floor. "Holding room Terminal D," Jamal said, voice faltering. "They're saying I'm flagged." Nathan froze. Flagged. A word that could choke a life. Airlines shared lists. Bans spread fast. His son, grounded, branded. "Stay put," he said, the words sharp, final. He hung up, chest tight, and dialed Regina Holt, his COO, a woman with a mind like a steel trap. "Regina, I need everything on Flight 724 to Dallas," Nathan snapped as her voice came online. "Crew, passenger logs, security reports now." Regina, used to his intensity, didn't flinch. "What's going on, Nathan?" He hesitated, then said it plain. "They dragged Jamal off the plane, cuffed him, for nothing." Silence hung. For a beat, then Regina's voice hardened. "I'm pulling the files. Give me 10 minutes. Nathan nodded, though she couldn't see, and strode to the window. Dallas glittered, indifferent, while his son sat trapped 300 miles away. He'd fought for Horizon's soul, hired diverse crews, pushed inclusion. But this was betrayal, a crack in the empire he'd poured his life into. His reflection stared back, eyes burning. He'd go to Atlanta himself, rip answers from whoever dared touch his boy. Regina called back, her tone clipped. Flight 724, Captain Leonard Hayes. Lead attendant Carla Vance. Security report cites suspicious behavior. No specifics. Carla flagged Jamal at the gate. Hayes made the call to remove him. Nathan's fist curled. Suspicious behavior? He was reading a book. Regina sighed. It's vague, Nathan. Looks like a cover-your-ass write-up. I've got the passenger manifest. Nothing unusual. Want me to dig deeper? Yes, he said. And freeze that crew's assignments. No one flies until I talk to them. He hung up, grabbing his coat. His private jet was fueled at Love Field, a perk he rarely used. Tonight, it was his weapon. He texted his pilot, Marcus, a former Air Force man who'd flown with him for years. Prep the Gulf Stream. Atlanta, now. Marcus replied instantly. Ready in 15. Meanwhile, in Atlanta's holding room, Jamal slumped against the gray wall, the bulb above flickering, like his hope. His wrists still throbbed from the cuffs, red marks stark against his skin. The air was stale, thick with the tang of bleach and despair. He replayed the jetway walk. Guard's grip, passengers' whispers, Carla's smug chuckle. His phone sat heavy in his pocket, Devin's unanswered text glowing. Yo, you boarding? He couldn't reply, couldn't face explaining this. The door's lock clicked, and a guard poked his head in, a different one, lean with a patchy beard. No flights for you, kid, he said, smirking. You're on a watch list now. Better get comfy. Jamal's heart sank. Watch list? For what? The guard shrugged, shutting the door. Ask your lawyer. Jamal's breath caught, panic clawing his chest. A watch list wasn't just Horizon, it was every airline, every airport, his internship, his classes, his life. Gone, unless he fought this. But how? He was alone, trapped, his word against a system that had already judged him. Footsteps shuffled outside, softer, not the guard's boots. A knock, then the door cracked open. An older woman, maybe 60, slipped in, her janitor's uniform wrinkled, gray braids tucked under a cap. Her name tag read, Lena. She carried a water bottle, her eyes soft but sharp. Here, she whispered, handing it over. You look like you need it. Jamal took it, hands shaking. Thanks, he mumbled, unsure why she risked this. Lena glanced at the mirror, then leaned closer. They do this too often to boys like you, she said, voice low, heavy with knowing. Hold tight. Someone's coming for you. She slipped, out before he could ask more, leaving him clutching the bottle, her words a flicker of warmth in the cold. Back in Dallas, Nathan boarded his jet, the cabin's leather seats empty save for him. Marcus greeted him at the cockpit door, his face grim. "Heard about Jamal," he said, voice rough. "We'll get him." Nathan nodded, settling in as the engines roared. The jet lifted off, slicing through the night toward Atlanta. His mind churned. Hayes, Carla, the guards. Someone would answer, but this wasn't just one crew's mistake. It was deeper, a rot he hadn't seen. He'd trusted Horizon's culture, believed his fight for fairness had changed things. Now he doubted. His phone pinged. Regina's email, with crew files. Hayes, 25 years flying, a stack of commendations, but whispers of tough calls on passengers, always young, often black or brown. Carla, 15 years, no major flags, but notes about overzealous reporting. Nathan's gut twisted. He'd see them soon, face to face. In Atlanta, Jamal sipped Lena's water, trying to steady his pulse. The guard's words, watch list, looped. In his head, each pass tighter, like a noose. He checked his phone, battery at 10%. No signal in this concrete box, but he opened his photos, scrolling to one from last month. Him and Devin at Emery's quad, laughing over pizza. It felt like another life. A new sound broke his thoughts, muffled voices, sharp outside. "He's in there," someone said, not Lena. "Boss wants him locked down." Jamal's skin prickled. Boss? The door stayed shut, but the tone wasn't. Routine. He stood, pacing the tiny room, 3 steps each way. His dad was coming, but what if he was too late? What if this flag was just the start? Across town, Captain Leonard Hayes sat in a dim airport office, his pilot's cap tossed on the desk, silver hair glinting under a desk lamp. Carla stood by the door, arms crossed, her auburn hair still tight in its bun. "You sure about this?" she asked, voice low. Hayes leaned back, fingers steepled. "Kid's a problem. I got a call from the top. Board's already circling. We bury this now." Carla nodded, but her eyes flicked away. "He's just a student," she said, almost to herself. Hayes snorted. "Student, sure. You saw him. Too cocky, too quick. With that phone, we did our job." He picked up his radio, voice smooth as he called a contact. "Tell Kline the kid's contained. No leaks." Carla shifted, uneasy, but said nothing. Hayes didn't notice, his mind already on the next move, keeping Horizon's name clean, no matter who got crushed. Nathan's jet sliced closer to Atlanta, the city's lights winking below. He stared at Hayes's file, a commendation from 10 years back catching his eye. Decisive action under pressure. Decisive, maybe, but today it was wrong. Nathan's fingers tapped the armrest, his plan forming. He'd get Jamal, pull every string, but this wouldn't end with apologies. Horizon was his, and he'd tear it apart to find the truth. His phone buzzed. Marcus from the cockpit. "Landing in 20, boss. You want security waiting?" Nathan shook his head, though Marcus couldn't see. "Just us," he said. "This is personal." The jet banked, and Nathan braced himself, ready to storm the terminal. But in that office, Hayes was already moving, his call to Kline sealing a plan that would hit harder than cuffs. A plan to make Jamal regret ever stepping on that plane. Nathan Carter's shoes echoed through Atlanta's Terminal D, each step a pulse of fury as he reached the private lounge where Jamal waited. His son sat hunched, backpack at his feet, the water bottle from Lena still clutched in his hands. Jamal's eyes, red-rimmed but defiant, met Nathan's, and for a moment neither spoke. Then Nathan pulled him into a fierce embrace, his broad frame shielding Jamal from the world's weight. "You're safe now," Nathan said, voice thick, though both knew safety was a lie. The lounge was a cocoon, plush chairs, dim lights. A bar stocked with bourbon Nathan ignored, but beyond its walls a storm brewed. Jamal pulled back, rubbing his wrists where cuffs had bitten. "They're saying I'm on a watch list, Dad. No flights, no nothing." Nathan's jaw tightened, a vein pulsing at his temple. He'd built Horizon skies to defy men like Hayes, yet here was his boy, grounded by their poison. "This ends today," Nathan vowed, his words steel. "I'm filing a complaint, Hayes is done. Jamal nodded, but doubt flickered in his chest. He'd heard promises before, teachers swearing to fix a bully, cops claiming they'd investigate. Systems didn't bend easy, not for him. Still, he followed Nathan to a corner table, where Nathan's phone buzzed with Regina's update. Hayes and Carla are grounded pending review, she'd texted. Board's antsy, wants a meeting, Nathan typed back, demanding Hayes' suspension, his fingers stabbing the screen. Jamal watched, silent, replaying Carla's laugh, the guards, sneers. He wanted to believe his dad could fix this, but the watch list loomed, a shadow he couldn't outrun. Nathan stood, motioning for Jamal to follow. We're heading to Dallas, he said. I'll handle this in person. Jamal grabbed his bag, heart heavy. He trusted Nathan. But what if Horizon's board protected their own? What if this was just the start? Across town, in a smoky office tucked behind Hartsfield-Jackson's executive wing, Captain Leonard Hayes leaned back in a creaky chair, his pilot's cap tossed on a cluttered desk. Gerald Kline, Horizon's vice president, stood by a window, his thin frame silhouetted against runway lights. Kline was a relic, 60, pale, with a comb-over and a smirk that never reached his eyes. His tie hung loose, a bourbon glass sweating in his hand. The kid's a problem, Leonard, Kline said, voice slick. Carter's sniffing around. We need to shut this down. Hayes rubbed his jaw, silver stubble catching the lamplight. He'd flown for Horizon 25 years, weathered crashes, strikes, and scandals. A teenager wasn't going to unravel him. Already handled, he said. Carla's report's airtight. Suspicious behavior, potential threat. I've got logs showing he argued at the gate. A lie, but Kline didn't blink. Good, Kline said, sipping his drink. But we go bigger. Make it public. Hayes raised an eyebrow, but Kline was already moving, pulling a laptop from a briefcase. We leak a story. Disruptive passenger. Security risk. Paint him as a thug. Carter won't fight a PR war, not with his stock at stake. Hayes hesitated, then nodded. What about the kid's dad? Kline laughed, a dry rasp. Nathan's one man. The board's with me. Brand safety comes first. They drafted a memo, Kline's fingers flying over keys, spinning Jamal as a shouting, defiant teen who'd alarmed passengers. Hayes added fake logs, time-stamped to match Carla's report. By midnight, the leak hit. A press release slipped to a tabloid site. Teen ejected from Horizon flight for threats. Kline grinned, raising his glass. To clean skies, he said. Hayes clinked, but his gut twisted. He'd buried problems before, but this kid felt different. In Dallas, Jamal woke to a nightmare. He'd crashed at Nathan's penthouse, the guest room's silk sheets a stark contrast to the holding cell's chill. His phone glowed with notifications, hundreds, then thousands. He opened X, and his heart stopped. His face stared back, grainy airport footage twisted to show him glaring at Carla, the headline screaming, Horizon Hero Crew stops danger on Flight 724. Comments piled up. Thug, troublemaker, should have been arrested sooner. His stomach churned. He'd been calm, polite, yet here he was, a villain in strangers' eyes. He scrolled, each post a dagger. Typical, one said. Always causing chaos, another. Jamal's hands shook as he clicked a video, a pundit dissecting his aggression, splicing clips to make him look unhinged. He wanted to scream, to smash the screen, but he just sat, frozen. The room spinning. Nathan burst in, phone to his ear, mid-shout with Regina. Who authorized this leak? He roared, then saw Jamal's face. He hung up, kneeling beside him. Don't look at that garbage, he said, grabbing the phone. But Jamal pushed back, voice hoarse. It's everywhere, Dad. They're saying I threatened people. Nathan's eyes blazed, but his voice softened. They're lying. We'll fix this. Jamal wanted to believe him, but the world felt different now, like every door had slammed shut. He checked his texts. Devin, his roommate, had messaged. Yo, you okay? People at school are talking. Jamal's reply stuck in his throat. Emory was his haven. But now, he imagined classmates whispering, professors doubting. His internship, would they drop him too? On campus, the smear took root. Jamal's phone buzzed with group chat alerts. Friends, or so he thought, debating the story. Didn't think Jamal was like that, one wrote. Maybe he snapped, another added. He left the chat, chest tight, and powered off his phone. Nathan, meanwhile, stormed Horizon's Dallas office, a glass tower piercing the skyline. He demanded a board meeting, his complaint against Hayes now a war cry. Regina met him, her tablet flashing news alerts. "It's Kline," she whispered. "He's behind the leak. Board's eating it up." Nathan's fists clenched. Kline, a snake who'd fought every diversity push, was playing dirty. "Get me in front of them," Nathan said. "Today." Regina nodded, but her eyes held a warning. "They're circling, Nathan. Watch your back." At Emory, Jamal ventured out, needing air. The quad was quiet, spring heat heavy with jasmine. He kept his hoodie up, head low, but eyes followed him. Students, groundskeepers, a professor who'd once praised his essays, a girl from his poli-sci class, Maya, approached hesitant. "Jamal, is it true?" she asked, voice soft. He forced a smile. "You know me, Maya. What do you think?" She nodded, backing off, but her doubt lingered, a cut deeper than Carla's. Cuffs. Back at his dorm, he found a newsstand, his face plastered on a tabloid. Flight fiasco, teens' threats exposed. He bought it, hands shaking, and tore it in half, littering the sidewalk. He'd cleared his name in his mind, Nathan's complaint, Hayes' grounding, yet this lie was winning, reshaping his world. Nathan faced the board in a mahogany-paneled room, 11 suits staring him down. Kline sat at the head, his smirk barely hidden. "Nathan, we understand your concern," Kline said, voice oily, "but this boy, your son, caused a scene. Our crew acted responsibly." Nathan slammed a folder on the table, flight logs, Jamal's spotless record. "He was profiled," he growled. "Hayes and Carla targeted him for no reason." Murmurs rippled, but Kline leaned forward, unfazed. "The public disagrees. Our stock's steady because we acted fast. You want to tank it over a family matter?" Nathan's blood boiled, but he saw the room's mood, fearful, siding with Kline's spin. "This isn't over," he said, storming. Kline's parting shot hit hard. "Careful, Nathan. I've got friends in high places." Back in Atlanta, Jamal sat in Nathan's rental car, parked near the airport to avoid eyes. He felt raw, like the world had peeled back his skin. Nathan climbed in, face grim, recounting Kline's taunt. "They're covering it up," he said, "but I'll burn this company down before I let them win." Jamal nodded, but fear gnawed him. If Kline could twist the truth this fast, what came next? Then he heard it, faint, through the cracked window. Security guards, laughing near a patrol car. "Kid's done," one said. "Kline's got plans, gonna teach him a lesson." Jamal's pulse spiked, his breath shallow. Plans? He looked at Nathan, who hadn't heard, focused on his phone. Jamal's victory, his dad's fight, felt hollow now, a flicker snuffed out by whatever Kline was scheming. He sank lower in the seat, the night closing in, wondering how much worse this could get. Have you ever felt the sting of a lie that spread faster than the truth? Comment 1. If you've seen injustice twist someone's story and hit like to stand with Jamal's fight. Subscribe to follow his battle. Will he outsmart this corporate machine? When a smear this vicious hits, how do you fight back? What's Kline's next move to crush a kid who's done nothing wrong? Jamal Carter slumped in the passenger seat of Nathan's rental car, the Atlanta night pressing against the windows like a living thing. His breath fogged the glass, his hoodie still smelling of airport bleach and shame. The guard's words, Kline's, got plans, gonna teach him a lesson, looped in his mind, each pass tightening his chest. Nathan sat beside him, phone glowing as he typed furiously, plotting to counter Kline's smear. "We'll hit the board again tomorrow," Nathan said, voice taut. "Regina's digging into Kline's emails. Something's gotta break." Jamal nodded, but his eyes stayed on the rearview mirror, half expecting shadows to lunge. The tabloid's lies, thug, threat, had already sunk claws into his life, turning classmates against him, tainting his internship dreams. Now Kline's lesson hung like a storm cloud, ready to burst. "Can we move?" Jamal asked, voice low. Nathan glanced over, catching his son's unease. "Yeah, let's get you somewhere safe." He started the engine, pulling onto the highway, headlights cutting through the dark. They needed gas, so Nathan swung into a quiet station off I-85, its neon sign flickering open 24/7. The lot was near empty, a pickup truck idling, a clerk inside counting change. Jamal stayed in the car, hood up, while Nathan pumped fuel, his silhouette tense under the canopy's glare. Jamal's phone was dead, battery drained from scrolling X's venom, posts calling him a criminal, a danger. He tried to focus on the internship, picturing Dallas's skyline, but the guard's laugh kept intruding, cold and deliberate. A flicker of movement caught his eye. Two men stepping from the pickup, their boots crunching gravel. Big guys, 30s, in dark jackets, caps pulled low. One had a beard, the other a scar slicing his cheek. Jamal's gut twisted. Something was off. The way they moved, not casual, but purposeful, eyes locked on the car. "Hey, Dad," Jamal called softly, cracking the window. Nathan didn't hear, focused on the pump's click. The men closed in, now 10 feet away, their hands in pockets. Jamal's pulse spiked. He fumbled for the door lock, but Beard Guy was faster, yanking the handle open. "Out, kid," he growled, voice thick with menace. Jamal froze, heart hammering. "What do you want?" he asked, keeping his hands visible. Scarface leaned in, flashing a badge, shiny, official, but wrong like a prop. "You're coming with us," he said, slurring a slur that hit Jamal like a slap. "Stay out of our skies, boy." Before Jamal could shout, Beard Guy grabbed his collar, hauling him onto the pavement. The air rushed out of him, asphalt biting his palms. Nathan spun, dropping the nozzle. "Get off him!" he roared, charging. Scarface intercepted, slamming Nathan against the car, a fist to his gut doubling him over. Jamal scrambled up, adrenaline surging, and swung at Beard Guy, catching his jaw. The man staggered, then laughed, wiping blood. "Big mistake," he snarled, and drove a boot into Jamal's ribs. Pain exploded, white hot, stealing his breath. He curled, gasping as blows rained down. Fists, knees, a crack that felt like bones snapping. The world blurred, neon lights smearing into streaks. He heard Nathan shouting, struggling, but Scarface pinned him, twisting his arm. "You wanna be next, old man," the thug taunted. Jamal's vision swam, blood trickling from his lip, but he clawed at the ground, refusing to break. The clerk inside must have seen, because sirens wailed, faint but growing. The men froze, exchanging glances. "Enough!" Scarface hissed, and they bolted to their pickup, tires screeching as they peeled out. Nathan crawled to Jamal, face ashen. "Stay with me, son," he said, hands shaking as he checked Jamal's pulse. Jamal tried to speak, but pain choked him, each breath a knife. Blood pooled beneath him, warm against the cold pavement. Nathan dialed 911, voice cracking as he begged for speed. The ambulance screeched in, red lights pulsing, and medics lifted Jamal onto a stretcher, his body limp, hoodie torn. Nathan rode with him, gripping his hand, whispering, "You're strong. You hear me?" Jamal's eyes fluttered, clinging to his dad's voice as the world faded. At Grady Memorial Hospital, Jamal woke to sterile white walls, an IV pinching his arm. Machines beeped, steady but cold. His ribs screamed with every breath, bandaged tight, and his face felt like it had been pounded with bricks. Nathan sat beside him, eyes bloodshot, suit rumpled. "You're okay," Nathan said, relief flooding his voice. "Bruised ribs, cuts, no breaks." Jamal nodded, wincing. "Those guys, who were they?" Nathan's face darkened. "Cops, off duty. Kline's work, I know it." Jamal's stomach sank. Kline, the boardroom snake, hadn't just smeared him, he'd sent muscle to break him. "I'm fine," Jamal lied, wanting to ease his dad's guilt. "I'll be out soon." Nathan squeezed his shoulder, but his eyes held a storm, rage, fear, a promise to burn Kline's world down. A nurse entered young, with a tight smile and a tray of supplies. Her name tag read Kendra, and her hands moved fast, checking Jamal's chart. "You're lucky," she said, adjusting his IV. "Could have been worse." Jamal nodded, too tired to talk. Nathan stepped out to call Regina, leaving Jamal alone with Kendra. She leaned closer, swapping his IV bag, her fingers brushing the GUI tube. Something flickered in her eyes, nervous, not kind. "Rest up," she said, voice flat, and slipped out. Jamal's head felt heavy, his limbs sluggish. He chalked it up to painkillers, but then his heart stuttered, a strange weight pressing his chest. Alarms blared, red lights flashing on the monitor. He gasped, clawing at the bed, vision tunneling. Nathan burst in, shouting for help, as doctors swarmed, ripping out the IV. "Sedative overdose," one snapped, injecting a counteragent. Jamal's pulse steadied, but his body shook, betrayal sinking in. Someone had tried to kill him, here, where he should have been safe. Nathan's face was thunder as the doctors stabilized Jamal. "Who touched that IV?" he demanded, voice shaking the room. A doctor checked the chart, frowning. "Kendra logged it, but she's gone. Left her shift early." Nathan's eyes met Jamal's, a silent vow passing between them. Kline wasn't playing games. He was playing for blood. Jamal, still reeling, forced himself to sit up, ignoring the pain. "We gotta fight back," he said, voice hoarse. Nathan nodded, pulling out his phone to file assault charges against the attackers. He called a lawyer friend, Denise, demanding the cops' badges. "They won't walk free," he promised. Jamal clung to that, thinking he'd survived, thinking they'd won this round. He was wrong. Hours later, a detective arrived. Badge, glinting, face blank. "Mr. Carter," he said to Nathan, "we've got a problem." He slid a tablet across, showing grainy gas station footage. Jamal swinging at beard guy, edited to look like he'd lunged first. "Your son resisted arrest," the detective said. "Those were off-duty officers responding to a tip." Nathan's voice was ice. "A tip? They beat him bloody." The detective shrugged. "Video says otherwise. There's a warrant out, assaulting an officer." Jamal's heart stopped. A warrant? After surviving a beating? A sabotage? He looked at Nathan, who was already dialing Denise, but the room spun. His phone, charging now, buzzed with alerts. Ex-posts screaming Horizon teen attacks cops, trolls doxing his dorm, his address out there for anyone to find. The detective left, promising to follow up, but his smirk said enough. Nathan grabbed Jamal's hand, fierce. "We'll fight this. You're not alone." But Jamal felt the walls closing in, the world twisting tighter. He'd thought the hospital was a win, ribs intact, pulse steady, yet here was a warrant, a lie worse than the smear. Kline's lesson wasn't just fists. It was a system rigged to bury him. Outside, he heard a nurse whisper to another, "Kid's trouble, huh?" The words landed like blows, each one heavier than the last. He'd survived the night, but at what cost? And what was Kline planning next, now that Jamal was marked not just a thug, but a fugitive? Jamal Carter's breath came in shallow bursts as he crouched in the back of a black SUV, the leather seats cold against his bruised ribs. Atlanta's lights blurred past, street lamps casting fleeting shadows across his face. Nathan's driver, Marcus, gripped the wheel, his ex-Air Force calm a stark contrast to Jamal's racing pulse. The hospital's alarm still echoed in his mind. Kendra's sabotage, the detective's smirk, the warrant branding him a cop-assaulting fugitive. "We're heading to Dallas," Marcus said, voice low, eyes flicking to the rear view. "Your dad's waiting. Stay low." Jamal nodded, tugging his torn hoodie tighter, the fabric stiff with dried blood. His phone, barely charged, sat dead in his pocket, useless now. A warrant wasn't just Atlanta. It was every cop, every scanner, every nosy neighbor ready to turn him in. Kline's smear had painted him a thug. Now the system called him a criminal. He was 18, a college kid, yet here he was, running like a hunted animal. Nathan had pulled strings to get him out. Denise, the lawyer, swearing she'd fight. The warrant. Marcus sneaking him past hospital security before cops swarmed. But Jamal knew Kline's reach went deeper, twisting truth faster than Nathan could unravel it. The SUV hit a pothole, jarring his ribs, and he winced, gripping the door. "You good?" Marcus asked, glancing back. "Yeah," Jamal lied, his voice hoarse. He wasn't good. Every jolt screamed pain, every shadow felt like a trap. The gas station beating flashed in his head. Beard guy's boot, Scarface's slur. Off-duty cops, Kline's dogs, and now a doctored video had flipped the script, making him the attacker. Ex-posts burned in his memory. Lock him up. They'd howled, strangers baying for his blood. He wanted to fight, to scream his truth, but right now, survival was all that mattered. They drove west, I-20 stretching into the night, Georgia's pines looming like silent judges. Jamal's mind churned. Dallas meant Nathan, a plan, maybe a way to clear his name. But Kline's taunt, friends in high places, gnawed at him. What if Horizon's board backed Kline, not his dad? What if this warrant stuck? His internship, Emory, his future, gone, ashes in a system that saw his skin and wrote his guilt. Marcus broke the silence, voice steady. "Your dad's a force, kid. He'll burn the world for you." Jamal forced a nod, but doubt clung tight. Nathan was a titan, but Kline played dirty, and Jamal was the pawn caught in their war. Hours later, dawn bruising the sky, Marcus pulled into a rural diner off an Alabama back road, its neon sign buzzing catfish and grits. "We need fuel, food," he said, parking near a rusted tractor. "Keep your head down." Jamal tugged his hood up, ribs throbbing as he followed Marcus inside. The diner was a time capsule. Checkered floors, vinyl booths, the tang of grease and coffee. A handful of locals nursed mugs, a trucker in flannel, an old woman knitting, a waitress with a teased perm. Jamal slid into a corner booth facing the door, every nerve on edge. Marcus ordered biscuits and sausage, his calm grounding Jamal's jittery heart. "You ever been on the run?" Jamal asked, half joking, desperate to break the tension. Marcus chuckled, scars crinkling on his knuckles. "Not like this, but close. Military taught me one thing: keep moving, keep sharp." Jamal nodded, sipping water, the glass cool against his busted lip. For a moment he felt human again, not a fugitive. They talked, low and easy. Marcus sharing stories of flying choppers, dodging missiles, always outsmarting the odds. Jamal opened up too. Emory's late-night debates, his dream to code apps that had changed lives. "Kline can't take that," Marcus said, eyes fierce. "You're bigger than his lies." Jamal's chest warmed, a flicker of fight rekindling. He pulled out his dead phone, wishing he could post, scream his side. Marcus slid him a burner. "Phone, old school, no apps." "Use it if we split," he said. "Your dad's number's in there." Jamal pocketed it, nodding, thinking maybe he could turn this around. He'd expose Kline, rally his friends, make the world see. He opened, his mouth to say it, but Marcus's eyes snapped to the window, narrowing. "Trouble," he whispered. Jamal turned, heart lurching. A sheriff's cruiser rolled into the lot, slow, deliberate, its lights off but menace clear. Two deputies stepped out, burly, hands on holsters, scanning the diner. Jamal's pulse roared, ribs aching as he shrank. "Whoa, they can't know I'm here," he hissed. Marcus leaned close, voice steady. "Stay cool. Could be routine." But his hand slid to his belt, where a knife hid. The waitress glanced over, frown deepening, and Jamal's gut screamed she'd recognized him. His face was everywhere, tabloids, XTV. The door jingled, deputies striding in, boots heavy. "Morning, folks," one said, voice fake cheery, but his eyes locked on their booth. Jamal's breath hitched. He gripped the burner, fingers trembling. Marcus nudged his foot under the table. "Stay calm." The lead deputy, a squat man with a buzz cut, strolled closer, radio crackling. "We're looking for a fugitive," he said, loud enough for the diner to hush. "Black male, 18, dangerous. Seen him?" The trucker shook his head. The old woman kept knitting, but the waitress pointed, subtle, at Jamal. His heart sank. She'd sold him out. Marcus stood casual, blocking their view. "Just grabbing breakfast, officer," he said, voice smooth. The deputy smirked, hand on his gun. "Step aside, sir. That's him." Jamal's mind raced. Run, fight, surrender. He slid out, ribs, screaming, ready to bolt when the second deputy barked, "Freeze! You're under arrest, Carter!" The diner spun, locals staring, phones out, filming his ruin. Marcus moved first, shoving the table into the lead deputy, cups crashing. "Go!" he yelled, and Jamal sprinted for the back door, pain ripping his side. Gunshots cracked, warning shots, splintering wood. He burst into dawn's chill, woods looming beyond the lot. Behind him, Marcus grappled a deputy, taking a fist to the jaw. Jamal hesitated, guilt clawing. Marcus was fighting for him. Another shot grazed Marcus's arm, blood blooming, and he roared, "Run, damn it!" Jamal obeyed, plunging into pines, branches slashing his face. His lungs burned, each step agony, but he pushed deeper, heart pounding with one truth. Kline had found him. How? His phone was off, his trail cold. Then it hit. Hayes, the pilot, a tech hound who'd bragged about cracking systems. He'd hacked Jamal's phone before it died, tracked his every move. The woods swallowed him, roots tripping his feet, cold seeping through his sneakers. Sirens wailed, distant but closing, chopper blades thumping overhead. Jamal crouched under, a cedar, gasping, ribs like knives in his chest. He pulled the burner, hands shaking, and dialed Nathan. "Dad, they found me," he whispered, voice breaking. "Cops, a diner, Marcus is hurt." Nathan's voice was steel, but fear bled through. "Where are you?" Jamal described the woods, voice fading as dogs barked, close now. "Hold on," Nathan said. "I'm coming." The call cut, battery dead, and Jamal's hope flickered. He'd posted nothing, yet Kline's claws reached here, turning a pit stop into a trap. He thought of Marcus, bleeding, maybe worse, and guilt crushed him. He'd wanted to fight, to win, hadn't he? Then it came, a megaphone, slicing the dawn. "Jamal Carter, you're surrounded, armed and dangerous, wanted for terrorism." Terrorism? The word hit like a bomb, shredding his last shred of fight. He'd swung at a thug, run from a setup, yet now he was Al-Qaeda? His mind reeled. Kline, Hayes, they'd spun the warrant into a nightmare, weaponizing every racist fear. He peeked through branches, seeing flashlights, dogs, a SWAT van rolling in. His face flashed on a deputy's tablet. Terrorist alert, cop attacker. X must have erupted, flipping his fleeting supporters to foes. He was no fugitive now. He was America's enemy, hunted like prey. Jamal sank lower, mud soaking his jeans, and clutched the burner's dead weight. He'd thought he'd escaped the hospital, thought Marcus was his shield. But Kline's game was bigger, deadlier, and Jamal was out of moves, alone in a world that wanted him gone. Jamal Carter stumbled through Alabama's pre-dawn woods, his sneakers sinking into mud, ribs screaming with every step. The chopper's thump faded, but dogs still bayed, their barks sharp in the chill. His hoodie hung in tatters, blood crusting, his lip from the diner's chaos. Terrorist. The megaphone's word clawed his mind, turning his flight from a warrant into a death sentence. Kline's machine, Hayes' hack, the sheriff's guns, had painted him a monster, and the world believed it. Marcus's bloodied arm flashed in his head, a sacrifice Jamal couldn't repay. He was alone, the burner phone dead. Nathan's voice, "I'm coming." A distant echo. Dawn's gray light broke through pines and Jamal's legs buckled, exhaustion winning. He slumped against a gnarled oak, breath ragged, praying for a way out. Then he saw it. A flicker of yellow, a porch light through the trees. He crept closer, heart pounding, to a ramshackle cabin, its paint peeling, windows boarded but one cracked open. A rusted van sat out front, tire tracks fresh in the dirt. Voices murmured inside, low, urgent. Jamal froze, ribs aching, fear whispering trap. But the dogs were closing, their snarls louder now. He had no choice. He tapped the door, soft, barely, A sound. It creaked open, and a familiar face appeared. Lena, the airport janitor, her gray braids loose, eyes wide but steady. "Get in," she hissed, pulling him inside. The cabin smelled of coffee and damp wood, its walls plastered with protest flyers, justice for all, end the system. 2 others sat at a table, a wiry man and a woman with dreads, both freezing as Lena shut the door. "He's one of us," she said, voice firm. "Jamal Carter." The man, Trey, squinted, his tattoos flexing as he leaned forward. "The kid from the news? Hell, you're hot." The woman, Simone, shot him a look. "He's hunted, Trey, like we were." Jamal's knees shook, but Lena guided him to a chair, pressing a mug of tea into his hands. Its warmth steadied him, though pain flared with every breath. "How'd you find me?" he asked, voice hoarse. Lena's smile was tired but fierce. "Heard the choppers. Knew it was you. This is our safe house. Off-grid. No cops." She paused, eyes softening. "My son Malik got caught in a manhunt like yours. Cops didn't give him a chance." Her voice cracked, and Jamal saw her pain, a mirror to his own. Malik's photo hung on the wall, a young man grinning, gone too soon. Jamal sipped the tea, its bitterness grounding him. "They're calling me a terrorist," he said, the word heavy. Lena nodded, her braids swaying. "They called Malik worse. It's how they justify murder." Trey snorted, tossing a burner phone on the table. "Whole world's eating Kline's lies. XTV, all of it." Simone handed Jamal a tablet, its screen glowing with posts. "Carter's a cop killer. Terrorist teen strikes again." His stomach churned, but Lena's hand on his shoulder was firm. "You're alive," she said. "That's your power. Use it." Jamal's mind sparked. Alive meant he could fight, could tell his truth. He looked at Trey, who grinned, pulling a laptop. "We got Wi-Fi, kid. Hidden, untraceable. What's your move?" He knew it instantly. A video, raw, unfiltered, too, cut through Kline's noise. Simone set up a camera, its lens a lifeline. Jamal sat, ribs throbbing, and spoke, his voice shaking but clear. "I'm Jamal Carter, and I'm no terrorist. Horizon Skies profiled me, cuffed me for nothing. Kline sent cops to beat me, frame me for fighting back. The diner? They shot at me, hurt my friend Marcus. I'm running because they want me dead." He recounted the airport, the hospital, the woods, each word a blade against Kline's lies. Trey streamed it to X, encrypted, untouchable. Within hours it exploded. 10,000 views, then 100,000. Hashtags bloomed. Justice for Jamal. Kline must fall. Comments flooded. He's telling the truth. Horizon's corrupt. Jamal watched, heart soaring. Strangers believed him, rallied for him. He felt it. Victory. A tide turning. He hugged Lena, her laugh warm. "You did it, boy," she said. "Now we plan. Get you to Dallas to your dad." He nodded, hope flaring. Nathan could use this. Force Horizon's board to listen. Trey mapped a route. Back roads, no checkpoints, while Simone packed food, burners, cash. Jamal felt like a soldier, not a fugitive, armed with truth. He pictured Kline's face, Hayes' smirk, crumbling under the video's weight. "I'm ready," he said, standing despite the pain. Lena squeezed his hand. "Malik would have loved you," she whispered. For a moment he believed it was enough. The world waking, his name cleared. He'd outrun the manhunt, turned their lies against them. Dallas was close. Justice closer. Then Trey's phone pinged, a message from an unknown number. His face, paled, eyes flicking to Jamal. "We got a problem," he said, voice tight. Jamal's heart sank. "What?" Trey hesitated, then showed the screen, a grainy photo of the safe house time-stamped minutes ago. "Someone's watching," he said. Lena snatched the phone, cursing. "Only insiders know this place." Simone checked the windows, dread swinging. "Trey, who'd you tell?" He bristled. "No one, I swear." But his eyes darted, and Jamal's gut screamed betrayal. Before he could speak, Headlights slashed the dark. Trucks, 3 of them, roaring up the dirt path. "Move!" Lena yelled, shoving Jamal toward a back door. Glass shattered. Flames, licking the walls as a Molotov cocktail crashed through. Fire roared, eating flyers, Malik's photo curling black. Jamal choked on smoke, ribs searing as he stumbled outside, Lena behind him. Trey and Simone split, vanishing into the woods, but shouts followed. Men, armed, Kline's goons. Jamal ran, firelight flickering, the safe house apire. Lena grabbed his arm, pulling him into a ditch, her breath ragged. "They got Trey," she whispered. "He sold us out." Jamal's mind reeled. Trey, their tech guy, had leaked their spot, bribed by Kline's cash. The video, his victory, had drawn blood, and Kline hit back harder. Sirens wailed, not for rescue. Cops, framing. "The fire is Jamal's doing," Lena coughed, pointing to a creek bed. "Go now." Jamal hesitated, guilt crushing him. "This is my fault," he said, voice breaking. She shook her head, fierce. "It's Kline's. Save yourself. For Malik." He nodded, tears burning, and crawled through mud, flames roaring behind. The safe house was gone, his hope ashes. Then it hit. News choppers buzzed, their feeds breaking through his burner's radio, snatched from the ditch. Breaking. Terrorist hideout torched. Jamal. Carter's cell linked to arson. His video, his truth, was buried under a new lie. Kline's masterpiece, a fake clip of Jamal confessing to burning the cabin, spliced from his own words. X turned fast. "My justice, for Jamal drowned by UN terrorist Carter." Lena's face haunted him. She'd sheltered him, lost everything. He heard cuffs click, cops grabbing her, yelling, "You harbored a fugitive." Her cry cut the night, and Jamal's heart broke. He'd sparked a movement, thought he'd won, but Kline's fire had burned it all. Lena's home, his allies, his name. He crawled deeper, mud soaking him, alone again. Guilt heavier than the manhunt. Dallas was a dream now, and Kline's next blow loomed. Sharper, waiting to strike. Jamal Carter's sneakers squeaked on the cracked linoleum of a Dallas motel, its air thick with mildew and desperation. He'd made it, crawling through Alabama's creek beds, dodging Kline's goons and their fire. Lena's cry, "Save yourself," for Malik, still burned in his ears, her arrest a wound deeper than his bruised ribs. The motel was a dive, cash only, no questions, tucked off a forgotten highway. Nathan's lawyer, Denise, had wired money through Marcus, who'd survived the diner with a grazed arm and a fiercer loyalty. Jamal's face was everywhere. TVs blaring terrorist Carter, X-posts spitting venom. But here, in room 12, he was a ghost, hood up, heart racing. His burner phone buzzed, Nathan's voice cutting through static. "We're suing Horizon," he said, steel in every word. "Denise found Hayes' phone logs. He hacked you. We're taking this public." Jamal's chest tightened, hope flickering. A trial could clear him, expose Kline. But after the safe house flames, trust felt like a trap. He nodded at the phone, ribs aching as he sank onto the sagging bed. "When?" he asked, voice rough. "Tomorrow," Nathan said. "Federal judge fast-tracked. I pulled every favor." Jamal swallowed, picturing a courtroom, eyes judging, cameras flashing. He'd been cuffed, beaten, framed. Now he'd face the world. What if they twisted again? He asked, thinking of Kline's fake video, Lena's cuffs. Nathan's pause was heavy. "They'll try, but you're not alone." The call ended, and Jamal stared at the ceiling, water stains curling like Kline's smirk. He wanted to believe. Nathan, his dad, had built an empire, defied odds, but Kline's game was ruthless, each move bloodier. The warrant hung over him, a noose tightening with every news cycle. He closed his eyes, Lena's face fading into darkness, and prayed truth could outrun lies. Dawn broke, and Marcus drove him to Dallas's federal courthouse, a stone giant looming, under a blistering Texas sun. Jamal wore a borrowed suit, too big, the tie choking him. Denise met them, a black woman in her 40s, her braids tight, eyes sharp as scalpels. "We've got Hayes' hack, metadata tying him to your phone's tracker," she said, tablet glowing with evidence. "You tell your story, Jamal. Let them see you." He nodded, stomach churning, as Nathan pulled him close. "You're my son," he said, voice low. "Show them who you are." Jamal's throat burned, but he straightened, stepping into the courthouse, cameras snapping like gunfire. Reporters shouted, "Terrorist or victim?" and his ribs throbbed, a reminder of Kline's cops. The courtroom was packed, oak benches groaning under spectators, air buzzing with whispers. Judge Amelia Ruiz, gray hair pulled back, presided, her gaze steady but unreadable. Jamal took the stand, palms sweating, the suit's cuffs slipping over his wrists. Denise led him through it. Flight 724, Carla's glare, Hayes' orders, the cuffs biting his skin. He spoke of the gas station, Beard Guy's boot cracking his ribs, Kendra's IV poison, the diner's bullets, Lena's burning safe house. His voice shook but held, each word a brick in his truth. "I'm no terrorist," he said, eyes sweeping the jury. 6 men, 6 women, faces mixed, some soft, some stone. "I'm a kid who wanted to fly to an internship. Kline and Hayes made me a target because I'm black." Gasps rippled, jurors leaning forward. A woman in the back row dabbed her eyes. Jamal's heart soared. He was reaching them, breaking. Kline's lies. Denise showed Hayes' logs, timestamps pinning him to the hack. The prosecutor, a slick white guy named Walsh, squirmed, his tie too tight. The crowd murmured approval. X trending. Jamal speaks. Jamal stepped down, legs shaky, believing justice was close. Nathan gripped his shoulder, eyes proud. "You did it," he whispered. Denise nodded, confident. Ruiz looked swayed. "We've got this." Jamal exhaled, the courtroom's oak walls less suffocating now. He pictured Lena free, his name cleared, Kline's smirk gone. The jury deliberated, hours crawling, but hope held. He'd told his truth, shown his scars, surely they'd see. Then Walsh stood, clearing his throat, a USB drive in hand. "Your Honor," he said, voice oily, "new evidence." Jamal's stomach dropped. Ruiz nodded, and a screen flickered showing grainy footage. Jamal on the plane, edited to look wild, shouting at Carla, her face fake scared. The courtroom gasped, jurors stiffening. "This contradicts the defendant's claims," Walsh said, smirking. "He threatened crew, caused panic." Jamal's jaw dropped, Nathan's hand tightening on his arm. "That's fake," Jamal hissed, but Denise shushed him, eyes darting. The footage was seamless, Carla's voice trembling. "He scared me, sir." Jurors glared, the crying woman now cold. Jamal's credibility tanked, his truth drowned in Kline's lie. Denise objected, demanding forensics, but Ruiz's face hardened. "Noted, counsel. Jury will consider." Outside, reporters swarmed. Carter's deception? Blaring on screens. Jamal's hope crumbled. He'd bared his soul. Thought he'd won, but Kline's knife was sharper. Then it got worse. Walsh slid papers to Ruiz, voice smug. "We've uncovered Mr. Carter's juvenile record, sealed but relevant. Vandalism, truancy, a pattern. Lies, twisted from kid pranks, a spray-painted wall, skipped classes, now a criminal's resume." The jury's eyes burned, Ruiz's pen pausing. Nathan roared, "That's inadmissible," but Ruiz silenced him. "Order, Mr. Carter." Jamal sank in his seat, the suit suffocating his victory ash. X exploded. "Carter's a delinquent. Lock him up." Kline's bots fueled it, hashtags burying Dar. Jamal speaks. Protesters massed outside, no longer allies but a mob chanting, "Guilty." Their signs, "No thugs in our skies," cut deeper than cuffs. Nathan pulled Jamal close, whispering, "We'll appeal. This isn't over." But Jamal's eyes were on the mob, their faces twisted, believing he was everything Kline said. Denise rushed to file motions, but the damage was done. Marcus hustled them to the SUV, tires screeching as they fled the courthouse, shouts echoing. "They're animals!" a protester yelled, hurling a bottle that cracked the windshield. Back, At the motel, Jamal locked himself in, the room's damp walls closing in. Nathan pounded the door, voice raw. "We're fighting, son. Don't give up." But Jamal sat, knees up, staring at nothing. His dorm was trashed. He'd seen posts, slurs carved into his door. His internship was gone, a curt email citing controversy. He'd stood tall, told the world, thought truth would win. Now Kline's lie was law, his record a noose, the mob his judge. He heard tires screech outside, voices rising. "He's here!" Footsteps thudded, fists banging the door, a brick shattering the window. Jamal scrambled under the bed, heart hammering, dust choking him. The mob was Kline's, fueled by his fake footage, ready to finish what the gas station started. He'd thought the trial was his stand, his win. Now he was prey again, and Kline's next blow was already falling. Can a single lie destroy a life before the truth gets a chance? Comment 1. If you've seen justice twisted by a system that judges too fast, and hit like to rally for Jamal's fight. Subscribe to see his next move. Will he outrun this mob? When a courtroom betrays a kid's truth, how does he rise? What's Kline's plan now that the world's against Jamal? Jamal Carter's breath rasped as he crawled from under the motel bed, glass shards glinting in the Dallas moonlight. The mob's shouts, "Get him!" faded as tires screeched, their taunts swallowed by the night. His ribs throbbed, the trial's fake footage looping in his mind. Him, wild-eyed, threatening Carla, a lie that turned jurors to stone. Kline's claws had shredded his truth, leaving his dorm trashed, his internship dead, his name a curse on X. He grabbed his backpack, heart hammering, and slipped out the busted window, dodging headlights. Marcus's SUV idled a block away, engine low. "Move!" Marcus hissed, door swinging open. Jamal dove in, pain spiking as the car peeled out, leaving the motel's chaos behind. "Where to?" he asked, voice raw, dust coating his tongue. Marcus's eyes flicked to the rear view. Somewhere Kline can't reach. They drove to a warehouse district, Dallas's skyline a distant glow. Marcus parked by a rusted gate, leading Jamal to a loft above a shuttered factory, its walls tagged with graffiti. "Truth lives." Inside, Zoe waited, a hacker in her 20s. Her buzz cut dyed electric blue, fingers dancing over 3 laptops. Her space was a fortress, servers humming, monitors flashing code, a couch littered with energy drink cans. "Heard your public enemy won," she said, smirking, tossing Jamal a water. "I hate Horizon suits, Kline, Hayes, all of them. Let's burn them down." Jamal's pulse quickened. Zoe's rep was legend, cracking corporate firewalls, exposing greed. If anyone could gut Kline, it was her. "They framed me," he said, ribs aching as he sat. "Fake video, fake record. I need proof Hayes rigged it." Zoe's eyes gleamed. "Oh, I'll get you more than proof," Nathan called, voice tight through the burner. "Denise is appealing the trial, but Kline's got the board spooked. Stay with Zoe, she's our shot." Jamal nodded, trust fragile but growing. Zoe's fingers flew, diving into Horizon's servers, her screens blooming with emails, logs, dirt. Hours blurred, Jamal pacing, pain a dull roar. Then Zoe whooped, slamming her desk. "Got it. Hayes' personal drive. Idiot kept receipts." She pulled up a thread. Hayes to Kline dated the trial's eve. "Forged clips ready. Walsh gets it tomorrow. Kid's done." Another email detailed the phone hack, timestamps matching Jamal's diner ambush. Jamal's fist clenched, rage surging. "This clears me," he said, voice shaking. Zoe grinned, already pinging Maya, a journalist who'd grilled Horizon before. "She'll eat this alive." Maya met them at a diner, not the Alabama death. Trap at a greasy Dallas spot, its jukebox humming Motown. Her notepad was scarred, her eyes sharp despite late-night bags. Jamal handed her a USB. Zoe's haul burned onto it. Hayes' emails, hack logs, even Kline's orders to bury Carter. "This is dynamite," Maya said, scanning printouts. "I'll run it tonight. Front page, every platform." Jamal's heart leaped. He saw it. Headlines flipping, X trending, Kline exposed, his name clean. They shook hands, Maya bolting to her newsroom. By dawn, Her expose hit. Horizon's racist plot. Teen framed by execs. Views skyrocketed. Millions. Then tens of millions. Crowds rallied outside Horizon's tower chanting, "Justice for Jamal!" The warrant lifted. Cops backpedaling. Ex flooding with apologies. "We were wrong, man." Jamal watched from Zoe's loft, tears pricking. He'd done it. Truth won. Kline was cornered. His life his again. He hugged Zoe, her laugh bright. "Told you we'd burn him," she said, cracking a soda. Marcus clapped his shoulder, Nathan's voice crackling through. "You're clear, son. Come home." Jamal grinned, ribs still sore but lighter. He pictured Emery's quad, his dorm untrashed, his internship back. Lena's face flashed. Her sacrifice fueled this. He'd visit her, make it right. Victory tasted sweet, like summer air after a storm. He stepped outside, breathing deep, Dallas's dawn painting the sky gold. He was free, or so he thought. But Kline didn't lose easy, and Hayes was a viper with venom left. As Jamal savored his win, a shadow moved, silent, lethal, hired by Hayes's rage. Zoe's scream shattered the morning. Jamal spun, sprinting back to the loft. She lay crumpled, blood pooling, a bullet through her shoulder. A hitman, masked, fled through a fire escape, boots clanging. Jamal dropped beside her, hands shaking, pressing her hoodie to the wound. "Stay with me," he begged, dialing 911. Zoe groaned, eyes fluttering. "Hayes knew," she rasped. Paramedics swarmed, stabilizing her, but the loft screens flickered, hacked, Maya's expose vanishing. Replaced by fake news hoax Carter's lies. Kline's media allies, fat with his cash, buried the truth, spinning Zoe's files as fraud. X flipped again. "Carter's a con. Poor Horizon." Jamal's stomach sank, victory ashes in his mouth. Zoe lived, barely, but the hit was Kline's warning. No one crossed him unscathed. Back at the motel, Jamal hid, Marcus guarding the door. His phone buzzed. His dorm, vandalized again, slurs spray-painted red. Go back. His internship email came next. Final. Terminated. Due to controversy. He punched the wall, knuckles splitting, pain nothing next to betrayal. He'd exposed Hayes, rallied millions, thought he'd won. Now Zoe bled, Maya's story sank, and Kline's lies ruled. Then it hit. Sirens. Not for him, but Horizon's tower. A bomb threat, anonymous, pinned on him. News screamed. "Carter targets airline," Nathan called, voice grim. They evacuated. It's a setup. Jamal's eyes burned, rage reborn. He'd thought truth was enough, but Kline played for keeps. Hayes' hit hadn't killed Zoe, but this threat aimed higher. Nathan's empire, Jamal's soul. He gripped the burner, vowing to end this, no matter the cost. Jamal Carter's pulse thundered as he slipped through Dallas's warehouse district, the night thick with the tang of oil and rust. His ribs ached, each step a reminder of Kline's cops, Zoe's blood, the bomb threat pinned on him. Horizons. Tower loomed miles away, a glass spear piercing the skyline, but its shadow felt close. Crushing. He'd lost everything. Dorm, internship, name. Yet Kline's lies kept winning, burying Maya's expose, branding Jamal a terrorist. Nathan's call had been grim. The board's circling, son. They want blood. Jamal's blood. He crouched behind a dumpster, breath shallow, the burner phone hot in his pocket. Zoe was alive, recovering, but her warning, Hayes knew, burned. Hayes wasn't just a pilot. He was Kline's blade, cutting deeper each time Jamal fought back. Enough. Tonight, Jamal would strike. Marcus had gotten him here, slipping. Him a janitor's uniform, gray coveralls, a fake ID clipped to the chest. Nathan was against it, voice cracking over the burner. "It's too dangerous," he'd said, but Jamal was done hiding. "They've got nothing left to take, Dad," he'd replied, steel in his gut. Nathan relented, texting security codes, backdoors to Horizon's HQ, his empire's heart. "Get Hayes' laptop," Nathan urged. "Proof's there." Jamal nodded into the dark, coveralls itching, a mop bucket his prop. He'd infiltrate, steal the machine, end this. Marcus dropped him a block from the tower, eyes fierce. "In and out, kid," I'm circling. Jamal clapped his shoulder, pain flaring, and stepped into the night, a ghost with a mission. Horizon's headquarters gleamed, all glass and steel. Its lobby a cathedral of wealth, marble floors, chandeliers like frozen stars. Jamal pushed his bucket through a service door, codes buzzing him past locks. Night guards patrolled, radios crackling, but his ID held, James Wilson, custodial. He kept his head low, ribs screaming, mopping a hallway that smelled of wax and ambition. Elevators hummed, taking him to the executive floor where Kline and Hayes schemed. The corridor was dark, offices locked, but Hayes' corner suite glowed, a beacon. Jamal's heart raced. Cameras watched, but Nathan's codes disabled them. A 5-minute window. He slipped inside, the door clicking shut, and froze. Photos lined the walls. Hayes shaking hands, grinning with senators, Kline toasting at galas. Power, untouchable, mocking him. Hayes' desk was oak, heavy, a laptop docked beside a model jet. Jamal's hands shook as he plugged in a USB, Zoe's gift before the hit, preloaded to crack passwords. The screen flared, files spilling open. Flight, logs, bribes, then jackpot, a draft email. Hayes to Kline titled, Clean Skies Plan. Jamal clicked, breath-catching. It was a manifesto, 10 pages of venom. Horizon must purge threats, black passengers, agitators, Carter's kind. Profile them, ban them, break them. Names followed, Jamal's, Lena's, others targeted, all minorities. Hayes bragged about the trial's fake clip, the diner's setup, Kline's cash greasing it all. Jamal's blood boiled, ribs forgotten. This was it. Proof Horizon wasn't just negligent, but evil, a machine built to crush. People like him. He copied the file, USB whirring, but footsteps echoed. Guards, early. Jamal unplugged, shoving the laptop into his bucket, covering it with rags. He mopped, heart pounding, as a guard peeked in, flashlight grazing him. Late shift, huh? The man grunted. Jamal nodded, voice steady. Spill in here, in. The guard shrugged, moving on, and Jamal exhaled, slipping to the service stairs. He emailed the manifesto from a burner app, Zoe's setup, to Horizon's board. Every member, untraceable. See your heroes, he typed, hitting send. The file hit inboxes as he hit the street, Marcus's SUV idling. Got it, Jamal gasped, sliding in, laptop hot against his chest. Marcus grinned, peeling out. You're a damn ninja. By morning, X erupted. Horizon's racist blueprint. Leaked! The manifesto trended, board members scrambling, issuing urgent reviews. Newsrooms ran it raw. Execs plotted black bans. Crowds swarmed Horizon's tower, signs waving. Fire Kline. Hayes was suspended, his face splashed across. Screens, silver hair disheveled, eyes hollow. Jamal watched from a new motel, Nathan beside him, pride in his gaze. You broke them, Nathan said, voice thick. Jamal nodded, ribs easing for the first time in weeks. Lena's sacrifice, Zoe's blood, his own scars. It was worth it. The board called an emergency meeting, Kline sidelined, Nathan reinstated as untouchable. Jamal's warrant was dust, his name half cleared, X trending. Jamal was right. He felt it. Victory. Real this time, a crack in Kline's armor. He hugged Nathan, grinning, thinking he'd finally won. Then his burner buzzed, a video call, unknown number. Jamal answered, and his world collapsed. Tasha, his 16-year-old cousin, stared back, gagged, bound to a chair in a dim room, tears streaking her face. Hayes' voice slithered through, calm, venomous. You took my laptop, Carter. I want it back. Jamal's throat locked, Nathan leaning in, face ashen. Where is she? Jamal choked out. Hayes laughed, his face filling the screen, eyes glinting. You're nothing, kid. Return it, or she's dead. The call cut, leaving a photo. Tasha, terrified, a clock behind her ticking down. 6 hours. Jamal's hands shook, victory evaporating. He'd exposed Hayes, rocked Horizon, thought he'd won. Now Tasha paid, her life Kline's cruelest chess move. Nathan grabbed the phone, dialing Denise, but Jamal stared at the laptop, manifesto glowing. He'd struck deep, but Hayes struck deeper, a predator unbowed. "We find her," Nathan said, voice breaking. But Jamal's mind raced. Where? How? Tasha was family, his shadow at cookouts, her laugh brighter than Dallas's sun. He'd brought this on her, his fight her cage. Marcus burst in, eyes grim. Hayes's crew's moving. Warehouses, south side. Jamal stood, ribs be damned, rage drowning fear. "I'm going," he said, laptop clutched tight. Nathan grabbed his arm. "You're not bait." But Jamal pulled free, eyes burning. "She's my blood." He'd thought the board's panic was his endgame, but Hayes's trap was tighter, deadlier, and Tasha's life hung in the balance, pulling him toward a fight he couldn't lose. Jamal Carter's hands shook as he gripped the burner phone. Tasha's terrified eyes burned into his memory. The video, her bound, gagged, a clock ticking down, played on loop in his head. Hayes's taunt, "You're nothing," a blade twisting deeper than his bruised ribs. Dallas's dawn was gray, the motel room's stale air choking him. Nathan paced, phone pressed to his ear, barking at Denise to trace the call. "Southside warehouses," Marcus confirmed, his grazed arm bandaged, eyes fierce. Jamal clutched. Hayes's laptop, its manifesto his only leverage. But Tasha's life was the cost. "I'm going," he said, voice steady despite the fear gnawing his gut. Nathan spun, face raw. "You're not walking into his trap." Jamal met his eyes unyielding. "She's family, Dad. I brought this on her." Nathan's jaw tightened, but he nodded, pulling him close. "We do this together." Zoe, still weak from her shooting, worked from a hospital bed, hacking traffic cams to pinpoint Hayes's hideout. Her text buzzed through. "Warehouse 17, Old Meat District, 3 goons armed." Jamal's stomach lurched. 3 against him, a kid with no gun, no plan, just rage and a cousin to save. Marcus drove, the SUV weaving through Dallas's underbelly, crumbling factories, graffiti bleeding on brick. Warehouse 17 loomed, a rusting hulk with broken windows like dead eyes. Jamal's ribs screamed as he slipped out, coveralls swapped for a black hoodie, the laptop left with Nathan for safekeeping. "5 minutes, Marcus whispered, checking his knife. "Then I'm in." Jamal nodded, heart hammering, and crept toward a side door, its lock busted, hinges groaning in the wind. Inside was dark, the air thick with rot and motor oil. Crates towered, shadows dancing under flickering bulbs. Jamal moved low, socks silent on concrete, every creak spiking his pulse. Voices echoed, gruff, laughing, Hayes's venom missing. He peeked around a crate, spotting Tasha, tied to a chair, her braids loose, eyes wide but fierce. 2 goons lounged nearby, rifles slung, a third pacing with a radio. Jamal's breath caught. She was alive, fighting. He scanned for Hayes, but the pilot was gone, likely orchestrating from afar. Zoe's burner pinged. "Cams show no more inside. Go now." Jamal pocketed it, palms slick, and edged closer, using crates as cover. His ribs burned, each crouch agony. But Tasha's muffled sob drove him. He reached a rusted pipe, loose on the wall, and pried it free, its weight cold in his hands. The pacing goon turned, radio crackling, and Jamal swung, catching his temple. The man dropped, out cold, radio skittering. The other 2 spun, rifles up, but Jamal dove behind a crate, heart exploding. "Who's there?" one barked, a lanky guy with a scar like Beard Guy's twin. Jamal held his breath, pipe trembling as boots thudded closer. Tasha's eyes locked on his, sparking defiance. She kicked her chair, clattering it, drawing their gaze. Jamal seized it, lunging at Lanky, pipe cracking his knee. He screamed, rifle clattering, and Jamal tackled the last goon, a stocky brute slamming him into concrete. His head bounced, lights out. Jamal scrambled to Tasha, ripping her gag free, her gasp sharp. "You idiot," she whispered, tears falling, but her grin was fire. He cut her ropes with the brute's knife, ribs howling as he pulled her up. "We're out," he said, arm around her, her weight steadying him. They ran, dodging crates, the warehouse a maze of shadows. Hope surged. He'd done it, saved her, beaten Hayes' trap. They hit the side door, dawn's light blinding, and sprinted for Marcus's SUV, idling 100 yards off. Tasha laughed, breathless, her braids swinging. "You're crazy," she said, and Jamal grinned, thinking they'd won, thinking freedom was theirs. His ribs hurt less, adrenaline a drug. Nathan's call crackled. "You got her?" And Jamal's "yeah" was pure joy. They'd made it, or so he believed. Then sirens screamed, red and blue flooding the lot. Cop cars swarmed, 6, 8, more. Tires shredding gravel, doors flying open. "Freeze, Carter," a megaphone blared, and Jamal's heart stopped. He shoved Tasha behind him, ribs flaring, as officers advanced, guns drawn, faces hard. "On the ground!" one shouted, a beefy white guy, badge glinting. Jamal raised his hands, Tasha trembling, her defiance gone. "We didn't do anything," he yelled, voice cracking. The lead cop smirked, radio buzzing. "Hostage taker, huh? Step away from the girl." Jamal's mind reeled. Hostage taker? Tasha? He looked at her, confusion mirrored, but cops closed in, cuffs gleaming. Marcus's SUV screeched up, too late, blocked by a cruiser. "Jamal!" Marcus roared, but a cop slammed him down, knee on his back. Tasha screamed. "He saved me!" But a female officer grabbed her, twisting her arm, snapping cuffs on. "You're an accomplice," she barked, dragging Tasha to a van. Jamal's knees hit dirt, hands high, but Beefy lunged, slamming him face first into gravel. Pain exploded. Nose, bleeding, ribs cracking anew. A boot pressed his spine, cuffs biting deeper than Atlanta's. "Got you, terrorist," Beefy hissed, and Jamal's world tilted. Hayes had planned it, lured him here, let him free Tasha, only to spring this. Kline's voice echoed from the trial. Friends in high places. Cops, bought, turning his rescue into a crime. Cameras flashed, news vans already there, filming, is ruin. "Carter caught in hostage plot," ticker tapes screamed, X erupting. "He's done." They hauled him to a cruiser, Tasha's cries fading as her van peeled out. Jamal's face pressed glass, blood smearing, his victory dust. He'd saved her, felt her laugh, thought he'd outrun Hayes. Now she was jailed, Marcus pinned, and he was worse than fugitive, monster again. At the station, hospital-bound, he woke to sterile lights, leg cuffed to a bed, a bullet wound he hadn't felt. Beefy's shot, grazing his thigh, unnoticed in adrenaline. Nathan burst in, face gray, Denise trailing. "They're charging you both," she said, voice tight. "Hostage-taking. Assault." Jamal's eyes burned, betrayal heavier than pain. Outside, news played, Hayes, reinstated, spinning the rescue, as Carter's stunt. "Kid's unstable," he lied, X eating it up. "Lock him away." Kline's shadow loomed, untouched, his boardroom smirk intact. A guard sneered through the door. "Trouble follows you, huh?" And Jamal's hope bled out. His dorm was rubble, slurs carved deep. His internship, a memory. He'd freed Tasha, thought he'd struck gold, but Hayes' trap was iron. Cops, cameras, lies tighter than cuffs. Nathan gripped his hand, vowing, "We'll break this." But Jamal saw the news. Horizon's stock tanking, Nathan's empire cracking, Tasha's mugshot beside his. He'd fought to save her, to end Kline's game, but now he was chained, shot, and the world saw only guilt. Kline's next move was coming, a hammer to crush what little he had left. Jamal Carter woke to the hospital's antiseptic sting, his leg cuffed to a bed, the bullet graze in his thigh, a dull throb beneath bandages. Dallas's dawn seeped through cracked blinds, painting the room gray, but his world was darker. Cops, framing him as Tasha's hostage-taker, her cries as they cuffed her echoing in his skull. His ribs ached, fresh cracks from the warehouse gravel, blood still crusting his nose. Hayes' smirk flashed on a muted TV. Carter's stunt proves he's unstable, the pilot lied, Horizon's stock ticker plunging below. Nathan sat beside him, face haggard, suit wrinkled, whispering, "We'll fix this." But Jamal's eyes were on Tasha's mugshot splashed beside his. "Terrorist duo," X screamed, his rescue twisted into crime. He'd saved her, felt her laugh, thought he'd struck back. Now she was jailed, Marcus bruised, and Kline's trap had snapped, shut tighter than ever. A knock jolted him, soft, not a cop's thud. The door cracked, revealing Lena, her gray braids tucked under a scarf, eyes fierce despite shadows of exhaustion. "We got you," she whispered, slipping in, a key glinting. Jamal's heart leaped. She was free somehow after the safehouse fire. "How?" he rasped, voice hoarse. Lena's smile was grim. "Activists, my people, sprang me. Cops couldn't hold the truth." She unlocked his cuff, Nathan helping him stand, pain spiking but ignored. "They're rallying," Lena said, leading them to a service exit. "Your manifesto leak lit a fire." Outside, a van waited, driven by Simone, her dreads swinging, no sign of Trey's betrayal. Jamal slid in, ribs screaming, as they peeled into Dallas's underbelly, cop sirens, distant but hungry. The van hit a safe house, a basement beneath a shuttered bar, its walls scrawled with, "No justice, no peace." Activists buzzed, students, elders, techies like Zoe, now out of ICU, her arm sling no damper on her fire. Lena gathered them, voice, commanding. "Jamal's truth, Hayes' manifesto, is our weapon. We march on Horizon now." Jamal's chest swelled, guilt for Lena's loss mixing with hope. He'd burned her safe house, yet here she stood, fighting for him. Zoe handed him a burner, streaming app open. "Live stream it," she urged, eyes blazing. "Let the world see." Jamal nodded, pain fading as purpose flared. He'd lost Tasha, his name, but this, thousands rising, could be his stand. He spoke, voice raw, to the camera. "Hayes wanted me gone. Black, young, alive. We're here to say no more." They hit the streets, Dallas's heat a furnace, Horizon's tower gleaming like a taunt. Crowds swelled, 10,000, 20, chanting "Jamal, Jamal." Signs waved, "End racist skies." Kline must fall. Jamal marched, Lena beside. Him, her strength a shield. His live stream soared, millions watching, X-trending trash Jamal lives. Cops lined the route, batons ready, but the sea parted them, unstoppable. At the tower, Jamal climbed a makeshift stage, pain a distant hum. "This is for Tasha," he roared. "For Lena, for every kid they tried to erase." Cheers erupted, shaking glass, and news vans ate it up. Carter's crusade. Zoe texted, "Board's panicking. Kline's out." Jamal grinned, ribs easing, victory real. The crowd was his army, his truth their sword. He'd lost everything, but this, revolution, felt like winning. Nathan joined him, eyes proud, whispering, "You've changed it all." Lena hugged him, her laugh bright despite her weary frame. Jamal's stream hit 10 million views, the board issuing a statement. Kline terminated, reforms coming. He exhaled, thinking of Tasha, praying she'd see this, know he fought. The crowd roared, a living pulse, and Jamal felt it. Justice, close, his name half clean. He'd turned Hayes' manifesto into a torch, burned Kline's throne. Lena squeezed, his hand whispering, Malik's smiling. For a moment, he believed it. Dallas's son was his, the tower humbled, his fight theirs. He'd lost her safe house, thought he'd failed, but this uprising was redemption. A tide Kline couldn't stop. Then it shattered. A boom split the air, smoke billowing from a community center blocks away. Lena's hub, where kids learned, elders gathered. Screams pierced the chant, the crowd scattering as sirens wailed. Jamal's livestream caught it, flames licking murals, glass raining, bodies still. Bombing at protest hub, news screamed, pinning it on Carter's radicals. His heart stopped. Dozens dead, kids, families, gone. X flipped. Carter's cult kills, his uprising branded terror. Lena fell to her knees, sobbing, "My people." Jamal grabbed her, pain roaring, but her eyes were hollow, face gray. "It's Kline," she rasped, coughing, clutching her chest. "He never stops." She slumped, breath shallow, and Jamal's world cracked. She was dying, stress tearing. Her heart, Hayes' bomb, her final blow. Paramedics swarmed, but Lena gripped his hand, voice fading. "Fight. For Malik." Her eyes closed, pulse gone, and Jamal screamed, tears burning, the crowd a blur. Cops advanced, riot gear gleaming, yelling, "Disperse!" But fingers pointed. Carter did this. News choppers buzzed, framing the bombing as his activist cell strikes. Simone pulled him back, shoving him into the van, tires screeching. "They're hunting you," she hissed, driving to a sewer tunnel Dallas's belly. Jamal curled inside, mud soaking him. Lena's face his only light. His live stream crashed, hacked, Zoe texted. Kline's bots burying Jamal lives under Bosch Carter kills. Tasha was still cuffed. Nathan's trial loomed for fraud. Horizon bled. He'd rallied millions, thought he'd won. But Kline's bomb had burned it. Lives, hope, Lena's heart. Simone handed him a burner, voice fierce. "You're not done." Jamal nodded, guilt crushing him. Lena died for him, her center ashes because he'd fought. He saw Malik's smile in her words, felt Tasha's laugh, Nathan's grip. Kline had struck deepest, framing his movement as death. But Jamal's rage was alive, a coal in his chest. He'd thought the protest was his peak, his justice. Now it was rubble, and he was hunted, underground, with nothing but a vow. To end Hayes, save Tasha, make Lena's death mean something. The tunnel's dark closed in, but his eyes burned, fixed on one truth. Kline's final strike was coming, and Jamal would meet it, no matter the cost. Jamal Carter crouched in Dallas's sewer tunnel, the dank air heavy with rot, his leg wound pulsing beneath crude bandages. Lena's final breath. "Fight." For Malik, echoed, her death a stone in his chest, heavier than the bombings. Toll, dozens gone. Kids, elders, their community center ash. Tasha's cuffs, Nathan's fraud trial, Horizon's bleeding stock. All Kline's work, Hayes' blade, framing Jamal's uprising as terror. His ribs cracked with each move, mud soaking his torn hoodie. But rage burned hotter, a vow to end this. Simone's burner buzzed, Zoe's voice crackling from her hospital bed. Hayes is bolting. Private jet. Love field. Tonight. Jamal's eyes narrowed, the tunnel's dark no match for his fire. "He's mine," he said, voice steel, crawling toward a manhole. Dallas lights a faint pulse above. He'd lost everything. Name, home, Lena. But Hayes wouldn't escape. Not after Tasha. Not after Malik. Simone drove him to a safe house, a crumbling garage where activists hid. Faces young, old, all scarred by Kline's system. Zoe's laptop glowed, hacked feeds showing Hayes' jet prepping, a Gulf Stream gleaming under runway floodlights. "Security's thin," Zoe rasped, her shoulder sling tight. "I'm looping cams, gives you 10 minutes. Jamal nodded, pain a dull roar, his thigh wound weeping but ignored. Nathan called, voice raw. "Don't do this, son. You're hurt." Jamal gripped the burner, Tasha's tear-streaked face flashing. "He's got no moves left, Dad. I do." Nathan's silence broke, heavy. "Then take him alive. For Tasha." Jamal pocketed a knife, Zoe's tech, a signal jammer, untraceable, and slipped into stolen ground crew gear, orange vest loose over his frame. He was no soldier, just a kid, but tonight, he'd be a storm. Love Field was chaos, private hangars buzzing, jets idling, Dallas's elite fleeing summer heat. Jamal moved fast, vest blending with crew hustling bags, Zoe's jammer cloaking his path. His leg dragged, blood seeping, but he gritted teeth, spotting Hayes' Gulfstream, boarding ramp down, one guard dozing. He crept closer, heart hammering. Ribs afire he shoved aside. The guard's radio crackled, and Jamal struck, knife hilt to temple, dropping him silent. He climbed the ramp, jet's cabin plush, leather seats, bourbon on ice, Hayes' cologne sharp. The pilot was alone, silver hair glinting, packing files, oblivious. Jamal slipped behind a curtain, breath shallow, waiting. Zoe's text buzzed. Boarded, go. The jet's door sealed, engines whining, and Jamal's world shrank to this. Him, Hayes, truth. Takeoff pressed him to the wall, ribs screaming, leg wound splitting. He clutched the jammer, live stream app open, Zoe's setup beaming to millions. The jet leveled, Dallas shrinking below, and Jamal stepped out, knife glinting, voice low. Hayes. The pilot spun, eyes wide, papers scattering. You, he hissed, hand darting for a drawer. Gun, maybe. Jamal lunged, slamming him against. The bulkhead, knife at his throat, live stream catching every flinch. Talk, Jamal growled, blood dripping from his leg, staining the carpet. Tell them. Flight, Tasha, the bombing. Hayes laughed, cold, unbowed. You're nothing, Carter. A glitch will erase. But his eyes flicked to the phone, its red light blazing, and fear crept in. Millions watched. X, News, Horizon's board, Nathan's penthouse. Jamal pressed the blade, drawing a bead of blood. Confess, or you're done. Hayes' smirk faded, voice cracking as he spoke, each word a bomb. Flight 724, my call. You were black, young, easy to pin. Kline wanted control, so we framed you. Trial clip, diner, Tasha's grab. The bombing? Mine. Cleared the board, broke your noise. His eyes gleamed, proud, sick. Horizon's mine, not your dad's. Jamal's hand shook, rage blinding, but he held firm, live stream, soaring, 20 million 30, X exploding. Hayes admits it. Viewers flooded Horizon's inboxes, board members waking, stocks freezing. Jamal's heart raced. He'd done it. Cracked Hayes open, truth spilling like oil. He shoved him into cargo, locking the hatch, thinking victory was his, the jet his to land. He staggered to the cockpit, empty, autopilot humming, Dallas's lights nearing. Zoe's voice crackled. Board's folding, reform's coming, you're clear. Jamal grinned, pain fading, picturing Tasha free, Nathan's empire saved. He'd won, exposed Hayes, flipped Kline's game. The jet banked, runway close, and he exhaled, blood pooling, leg weak but heart strong. Lena's face flashed. For Malik. He'd kept her vow, made her death mean something. Then a crash, cargo hatch splintering. Hayes burst out, eyes wild, a knife gleaming, not the gun he'd reached for. You don't win, he roared, lunging, blade slicing Jamal's side. Pain seared, blood gushing, but Jamal twisted, slamming. Hayes into controls. The jet lurched, alarms blaring, nose dipping, crash course set. Jamal's vision swam, blood slicking his hands. Hayes' knife slashing again, grazing his arm. He kicked, catching Hayes' knee, and grappled, weak but fierce. Live stream still rolling, millions gasping. Dallas loomed, towers too close, ground rushing. Hayes laughed, choking. We both die, kid. Jamal's heart screamed, Tasha, Nathan, Lena, no. He shoved Hayes, blade clattering, and locked him back in cargo, hatch jamming. Alone, he clutched the yoke, leg useless, side bleeding, no pilot, just will. Zoe, he yelled, burner crackling. Her voice broke, can't hack it. Then Nathan's desperate from Horizon's tower. Overrides mine. A click, systems whirring. Nathan, freed by public fury, seized remote control, leveling the jet, guiding it to love fields. Tarmac, the Gulfstream skidded, sparks flying. Jamal's body slamming seats, blood painting leather. It stopped, runway scorched, and he collapsed. Knife wound deep, leg numb. Sirens wailed, medics swarming. Hayes cuffed, his confession viral. Horizons, plot pilot's own words. Crowds cheered outside, X trending, Jamal saved us, board capitulating. Kline's allies gone, Nathan ran in, cradling Jamal, tears falling. "You're alive," he choked, as medics worked, blood bags pumping. Jamal faded, Tasha's laugh his anchor, waking in ICU days later, tubes snaking, pain a tide. Nathan sat close, face lined. "Free now, fraud charges dust." "Tasha's out," he said, voice soft. "Horizon's mine again, your advisor, reform's real." Jamal nodded, weak, but one truth hit. Lena was gone, her heart stopped by Kline's war. He stared at the ceiling, scars itching, leg, side, ribs, soul. The TV showed rallies for Jamal, for Lena. But her face haunted him. Malik's too. He'd exposed Hayes, saved Tasha, broke Horizon's rot. But at what cost? Lena's center, her life, dozens dead, his fight's price. Nathan squeezed his hand, eyes proud. "You changed it, son." Jamal's voice was faint, eyes on the sky beyond glass. "Not enough," he said, a vow forming, hard as stone. Kline was jailed, Hayes too, but systems lingered, waiting to cage another kid. He'd heal, fight, make Lena's death a beacon. Malik's smile a call. The sky was vast, cruel, but his now, and he'd never stop. Jamal Carter's journey in Black Teen dragged off flight unfairly. Then he calls his father, who owns the airline, unveils a raw truth. Systemic racism is a relentless beast, but resilience can crack its armor. From a wrongful ejection on Flight 724 to beatings, frame-ups, and a bombed community center, Jamal faced a world rigged to silence him. Yet he fought, through pain, loss, and betrayal, exposing Horizon's rot with Hayes' manifesto, saving Tasha, and sparking reform. His story screams that injustice thrives in silence, but courage, even from one voice, can ripple into millions. Lena's sacrifice, Tasha's fear, Nathan's resolve, they show community holds power when systems fail. Jamal learned no win is clean. Lena's death and the bombing's scars linger, proof that change costs blood. But he vowed to keep fighting. A lesson for us, standing up despite odds, plant seeds for justice. We see it daily, profiling, lies, erasure, but Jamal's defiance reminds us to speak, to act, to rebuild. Systems bend when pushed, not wished. His pain forged purpose, a call to check our biases, amplify truth, and protect those targeted. We're not Jamal, but we share his world, and in action lets Kline's kind thrive. Let's choose his path. Relentless, scarred, alive. What injustice have you seen that needs a voice? Comment below, hit like if Jamal's fight moves you, and subscribe to join our push for truth. Share to spread his story. Every view fights silence. Thank you for standing with us. Here's to a world where justice isn't a dream but a reality.